Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are exploring the fascinating story of the 2 euro-cent coin, one of the smallest denominations in the euro currency system, yet one of the most historically rich and widely circulated coins in modern Europe, because although its face value is low, the 2-cent coin carries immense cultural, economic, and numismatic significance that often goes unnoticed by everyday users. And to truly understand this coin, we must begin with the birth of the euro itself, which was introduced as an accounting currency in 1999 and later entered physical circulation in 2002, uniting multiple European nations under a single monetary system designed to promote economic stability, trade efficiency, and political cooperation. And within this ambitious project, the 2 euro-cent coin was created to support precise pricing and smooth cash transactions, especially in countries where small denomination pricing had long been a tradition, and from the very beginning, the coin was designed with a standardized common reverse shared by all Eurozone countries, featuring a map of Europe symbolizing unity and cooperation, while each issuing country was allowed to design its own national obverse, making every 2-cent coin a miniature ambassador of national identity, history, and culture, and this dual design concept instantly added collectible appeal, because a 2 euro-cent from Germany tells a different story than one from Italy, France, Spain, or Finland, even though they are all legal tender across the euro area. And in terms of physical characteristics, the 2 euro-cent coin is composed of copper-plated steel, giving it its distinctive reddish color and making it slightly magnetic, a feature that helps vending machines and coin sorting systems identify it accurately, while also keeping production costs low. And the coin measures 18.75 millimeters in diameter with a thickness of 1.67 millimeters and a weight of 3.06 grams, and its edge is smooth with a distinctive groove that differentiates it by touch from the 1-cent coin, reflecting the euro system's emphasis on accessibility for visually impaired users. And beyond its technical specifications, the 2 euro-cent coin quickly became a daily companion for millions of Europeans, circulating through cafes, supermarkets, public transport systems, and small local businesses, silently witnessing the economic life of an entire continent. And yet, despite its heavy circulation, many people are unaware that some 2 euro-cent coins are surprisingly scarce, especially early issues from smaller Eurozone countries or coins struck in lower mintages during transitional periods. And this is where the numismatic story truly begins, because while most 2-cent coins are worth exactly their face value, certain dates, minting variations, and high-grade examples can attract strong interest from collectors, particularly those assembling complete euro-cent sets by country, year, and design. And as we move deeper into the history of this coin, it becomes clear that the 2 euro-cent is far more than loose change. It is a symbol of European integration, a record of national pride, and a quietly fascinating collectible that deserves a closer look, setting the foundation for understanding its designs, varieties, minting differences, and long-term collectible potential as the story continues. As the story of the 2 euro-cent coin continues, its national obverse designs reveal an extraordinary layer of depth that transforms this modest coin into a moving gallery of European history and identity, because each participating country was given the freedom to select imagery that best represented its culture, heritage, or national symbols, resulting in a remarkable diversity of designs circulating side by side across borders. And for example, Germany chose the oak twig, a long-standing emblem of strength and endurance deeply rooted in German history, while France selected Marianne, the iconic personification of liberty and republican values, symbolizing freedom, equality, and fraternity, and Italy opted for the Mole Antonelliana, a distinctive architectural landmark that reflects artistic pride and national achievement, whereas Spain featured the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela, a symbol of religious heritage and the famous pilgrimage route. And smaller nations such as Malta, Cyprus, and Slovenia introduced designs that reflect their unique historical narratives, including ancient temples, national coats of arms, and culturally significant figures. And this diversity instantly elevated the 2 euro-cent coin beyond its monetary function, because collectors now had a compelling reason to search through everyday change to find examples from different countries, turning ordinary transactions into opportunities for discovery. And in the early years following the euro's physical introduction in 2002, some countries produced relatively low mintages of 2-cent coins, either due to limited domestic demand or changing pricing policies, which has resulted in certain early-date issues being notably scarcer today, especially in uncirculated condition. And countries like Finland and the Netherlands later reduced or even stopped the circulation of 1 and 2-cent coins for daily cash transactions, relying on rounding systems instead, which further limited the production of these denominations and added long-term scarcity to specific issues. And while these coins remain legal tender, their reduced circulation has made high-quality examples increasingly difficult to locate, particularly for collectors attempting to build complete date and country sets, and another fascinating aspect lies in the subtle design updates that occurred as the European Union expanded. Because the common reverse of the 2 euro-cent coin was modified in 2007 to reflect a more accurate and inclusive map of Europe, replacing the earlier design that showed a more limited geographical representation, and this change created two distinct reverse types that collectors now actively seek, adding another layer of variety to the series. And beyond standard circulation coins, proof and mint set versions of the 2 euro-cent were produced by several countries, often with superior strikes, sharper details, and mirror-like finishes that highlight the artistry of the designs far more clearly than circulated examples, making them especially attractive to collectors who value presentation and condition. And despite the coin's low face value, the emotional and symbolic importance of holding a 2 euro-cent from another country cannot be overstated, because it represents a shared economic system while still preserving national individuality, a balance that lies at the heart of the European project itself. And for many collectors, especially beginners, the 2 euro-cent serves as an ideal entry point into euro coin collecting, offering affordability, variety, and historical richness without the financial barriers often associated with precious metal coins. And as circulation patterns continue to change and cash usage slowly declines in parts of Europe, the long-term survival and availability of these small denomination coins may further enhance their collectible appeal, quietly transforming what is often dismissed as insignificant change into a meaningful artifact of a unique moment in modern monetary history. As we move further into the collectible side of the 2 euro-cent coin, Part 2a focuses on mintage patterns, production decisions, and how economics quietly shaped the availability of this small denomination across Europe, because unlike precious metal coins whose value is immediately tied to intrinsic content, the worth and rarity of a 2-cent coin are driven almost entirely by how many were made, how widely they circulated, and how many survived in high condition, and from the very beginning of euro coinage in 2002, mintages vary dramatically from country to country, with large economies such as Germany, France, Italy, and Spain producing hundreds of millions of 2 euro-cent coins to meet daily transactional needs, while smaller nations such as Luxembourg, Monaco, San Marino, and the Vatican produced far fewer pieces, often relying on minting contracts with other countries. And although some of these microstates did not issue 2-cent coins for general circulation every year, when they did, mintages were typically limited, instantly drawing the attention of collectors who recognized that scarcity does not always require age. And another critical factor influencing mintage was national pricing policy, because in countries where cash transactions commonly used rounding, the demand for 1 and 2-cent coins dropped significantly, leading mints to reduce or completely halt production for circulation. And Finland became one of the earliest examples of this trend, adopting rounding practices that made small cent coins largely unnecessary in everyday commerce, which in turn caused finished 2 euro-cent coins to be encountered far less frequently in circulation outside of collector sets. And the Netherlands later followed a similar path, further reinforcing the idea that policy decisions can have long-lasting effects on coin availability, and when combined with natural loss through wear, damage, or removal by collectors, these reduced mintages have gradually increased the scarcity of certain dates, especially in uncirculated condition. And this is where condition rarity becomes especially important, because while circulated examples of most 2 euro-cent coins remain common, coins preserved with full original luster, minimal marks, and sharp details are far more difficult to find, particularly from early years when public awareness of euro coin collecting was still developing. And mint sets play a crucial role in preserving these high-quality examples, as many of the best surviving 2 euro-cent coins originate from official sets rather than circulation. And beyond official production, some coins exhibit subtle minting anomalies such as weak strikes, planchet flaws, or plating irregularities that, while not always dramatic, can add character and appeal for specialized collectors. And as time passes, the cumulative effect of reduced production, policy-driven circulation changes, and selective hoarding continues to shape the 2 euro-cent market, gradually transforming it from a purely utilitarian coin into a documented and studied collectible series. And for those willing to research mintage figures, understand national policies, and pay attention to condition, Part 2a reveals that the true story of the 2 euro-cent coin is written not in its face value, but in the quiet decisions that determined how many were made, how long they circulated, and how many remain today in collectible form. As we continue into Part 2b, the focus shifts from production numbers to the elements that most excite collectors today, including notable varieties, minting errors, and the emerging value patterns that have developed around the 2 euro-cent coin despite its humble denomination, because in modern numismatics, collector interest is often driven not only by rarity but by uniqueness. And even a mass-produced copper-plated steel coin can become desirable when it displays something unexpected, and among the most discussed varieties are coins with plating flaws, where the thin copper layer is incomplete, blistered, or peeling, revealing the steel core beneath and creating dramatic color contrasts that immediately stand out. And while some of these flaws are the result of post-mint damage, others occurred during the minting process itself and are recognized as genuine errors, particularly when they show consistent characteristics rather than random wear. And another category of interest includes off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted due to improper alignment during striking, leaving part of the planchet blank. And although these errors are not extremely common, they are far scarcer than standard issues and are often saved by collectors the moment they are discovered in circulation. And clipped planchets, caused by mistakes in cutting the metal blanks before striking, also appear occasionally, producing crescent-shaped missing sections that add strong visual appeal. And while dramatic errors tend to attract the highest attention, subtle varieties such as die cracks, filled dies, or weakly struck details can also be appealing to specialists who enjoy studying the technical side of euro coin production. And when it comes to value, it is important to understand that most 2-euro-cent coins remain worth their face value, but exceptions do exist, particularly for coins from low-mintage countries, early-year issues in mint condition, and authenticated era coins, and examples preserved in uncirculated condition with full red luster are especially desirable, as copper-plated steel coins tend to tone, darken, or corrode over time, making pristine pieces increasingly scarce, and proof versions and special mint set issues further define the upper end of the value range, as these coins were never intended for circulation and often feature sharper details and superior finishes. And while auction prices for 2-euro-cent coins rarely reach the dramatic levels seen in precious metal issues, certified errors and complete high-grade sets have steadily gained interest, reflecting a broader trend in modern coin collecting where completeness, condition, and originality matter more than metal content. And perhaps the most important takeaway from Part 2b is that value in this series is still developing, because the euro itself is relatively young, and long-term collecting patterns are still forming, meaning that today's overlooked coins could become tomorrow's key pieces as circulation declines and availability tightens. And for collectors willing to look closely, learn diagnostics, and preserve high-quality examples, the 2-euro-cent coin offers a surprisingly rich field of discovery, proving that even the smallest denomination can hold meaningful potential when viewed through the lens of time, scarcity, and curiosity. As we arrive at the final stage of the journey in Part 3b, the 2-euro-cent coin can now be fully appreciated not just as a minor unit of currency but as a powerful symbol of modern European history, collective identity, and the evolving future of money itself, because when historians and numismatists look back at the early 21st century, the euro coinage system will stand as one of the most ambitious monetary experiments ever undertaken. And within that system, the 2-euro-cent coin occupies a unique position, balancing practicality, symbolism, and accessibility in a way few coins have managed before. And while larger denominations often attract attention for their purchasing power or precious metal content, the 2-cent coin tells a quieter but equally important story about how everyday people interacted with a shared currency across borders, languages, and cultures. And from a long-term collecting perspective, this coin represents the foundation layer of euro numismatics, because it is often the first denomination new collectors encounter in quantity, allowing them to observe differences in national designs, minting quality, and circulation wear in real time. And as years pass and cash usage declines due to digital payments, contactless systems, and mobile banking, the survival of low-denomination coins like the 2-euro-cent becomes increasingly uncertain, which paradoxically strengthens their historical and collectible importance, as objects that once passed unnoticed through millions of hands may soon become tangible reminders of a cash-based era that shaped daily life for an entire generation. And this transition is already visible in several Eurozone countries where rounding policies have reduced or eliminated the use of 1- and 2-cent coins in everyday transactions, even though they remain legal tender, effectively turning these coins into semi-withdrawn artifacts whose circulation is more symbolic than functional. And for collectors, this moment represents a critical window of opportunity, because coins that are still technically common today may become significantly harder to find in original condition once active circulation fully ceases, especially given the vulnerability of copper-plated steel to corrosion, oxidation, and environmental damage, which means that high-quality survivors will naturally diminish over time. And this condition-based attrition is one of the strongest forces shaping future value, because while mintage numbers provide a starting point, the number of coins that remain clean, bright, and undamaged decades later is what ultimately determines scarcity. And beyond physical preservation, the educational and cultural role of the 2-euro-cent coin cannot be overstated, as it has quietly served as an introduction to European geography and heritage for millions of people, especially children who learn to recognize different countries through the images on their coins, turning pocket change into a learning tool that reinforces the idea of unity without erasing national identity, and this educational function gives the coin an emotional resonance that extends beyond collectors, embedding it in personal memories and shared experiences, which is a powerful driver of long-term interest, because numismatics is not only about rarity and value, but also about storytelling and connection. And when collectors in the future look back on complete sets of 2 euro-cent coins from the early years of the euro, they will be holding a condensed narrative of European integration, expansion, and cooperation, preserved in metal, and from a market standpoint, the future of the 2 euro-cent coin is likely to follow a gradual and selective appreciation pattern rather than explosive growth, with key drivers including low mintage countries, early year issues, discontinued circulation nations, error coins with clear mint attribution, and certified high-grade examples, particularly those with original red luster. And as third-party grading becomes more common for euro coins, standardized condition assessments will further clarify which pieces deserve premium recognition, helping the market mature and stabilize. And this professionalization of euro-cent collecting mirrors patterns seen earlier in US and British coin markets, where small denominations initially dismissed as insignificant later gained respect as serious collectible categories. And importantly, the affordability of the 2 euro-cent coin ensures that it will remain an inclusive entry point into the hobby, allowing collectors from all economic backgrounds to participate, study, and build meaningful collections without financial pressure, which helps sustain long-term interest and community growth. And in this sense, the 2 euro-cent coin fulfills a role similar to historic copper coins of the past, such as early pennies and farthings, which were once common but later became essential building blocks of numismatic study. And as time moves forward, museums, educational institutions, and private collections will increasingly recognize the value of preserving representative sets of euro-cent coins as documentation of early 21st century monetary policy and design philosophy. And for today's collector or viewer, the most important lesson is awareness, because value often begins with attention. And the simple act of observing, sorting, and preserving these coins transforms them from disposable change into historical artifacts. And whether you choose to collect by country, year, design, or condition, the 2 euro-cent coin offers a deeply rewarding experience that grows richer with knowledge and patience. And as this series concludes, it becomes clear that the true worth of the 2 euro-cent coin is not measured solely in euros, but in what it represents: a shared economic vision, a celebration of diversity within unity, and a snapshot of everyday life during a transformative period in European history. And by understanding and appreciating this small but meaningful coin, collectors ensure that its story will continue to be told long after it disappears from daily circulation, preserved not just in albums and holders, but in the collective memory of those who took the time to look closely at what others overlooked. And that is the enduring power of numismatics, turning ordinary objects into extraordinary witnesses of history. Thanks for watching.